NewsChannel5, GOP frontrunner Donald Trump has made some pretty controversial quotes since he entered the race for president.
Said, where are you from? We are from India. Oh, great. That's wonderful.
And whether you agree with his politics or not, most would agree that Donald Trump has made the race to the White House a must-see series of events. And one of his biggest defenders is a local man, Reverend Darrell Scott, senior pastor of the New Spirit Revival Center in Cleveland Heights. For months, Scott has been drawing national attention for his efforts to connect Trump with African-American voters. So tonight, Pastor Scott is setting the record straight about his relationship with Trump. He's undoubtedly controversial.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, and some, I assume, are good people.
There was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
This guy started screaming by himself, and they did, I don't know, rough up. Maybe he should have been roughed up.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion, yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
And he's the man who believes Trump should be our next president.
And I believe that Donald Trump is our change agent. If you're in agreement with me, somebody shout amen.
Pastor Darrell Scott supports billionaire businessman Donald Trump's run for the White House with no apologies. You are an African-American man and a pastor supporting a candidate that's white. That's white, and a lot of African-Americans have a problem with. What type of backlash have you received?
First of all, I'm not the one. They call me Uncle Tom, but everybody that knows me knows better than that. A sellout, an Uncle Tom, a coon. All of the racism that I receive has been from black people.
And why do you think that is?
Because they're black people.
Explain that, Pastor. Explain that.
Because I'm not in the Democratic camp. For some reason, they think all blacks automatically are supposed to vote Democrat. And, you know, they get upset because of their lack of knowledge.
And their assumption that Scott is getting paid. Is he paying you? And
no.
And you said?
Absolutely not.
Have you been promised anything from the Trump administration?
Absolutely not.
If he gets into the White House?
I don't want anything. I don't want a job.
Scott, along with his wife, are pastors of New Spirit Revival Center in Cleveland Heights. Under the Internal Revenue Code, churches are considered to be 501c3 organizations and are prohibited from directly or indirectly participating in or intervening in any political campaign on behalf of any candidate for elective public office. And when I asked Scott about this possible conflict,
how can he be a pastor and let Trump care? He can take his 501. They can't take anything. Try and take it and see what happens. There's nothing illegal about it. People don't even, you know what's killing the man on the street that doesn't even know what a 501c3 is. All of a sudden is saying, well, he can't do that. Yes, I can, because I don't endorse him on behalf of my church. As a private citizen, I still have rights as an American citizen. I can endorse who I want to endorse.
Scott is a part of a newly formed group of Donald Trump minority and women voters, the National Diversity Coalition for Trump. They don't believe he is bigoted and are serving as his eyes and ears on the ground. They met briefly with Trump at Trump Tower in Manhattan last week.
We speak to him about a lot of the issues concerning the black community. We've spoken to him about jobs, job creation, urban revitalization, education, crime. I mean, we've had some very, very productive talks with him, and he has plans.
You believe he will have plans to help the people that you serve?
Yeah, I know it. Whenever the devil attacks you.
And his congregation knows that this is not his first interaction with Trump. But do all of his members agree with his personal endorsement of Mr. Trump?
If there are those that are disgruntled, then they didn't know me, then, you know, they have to make their own decisions. But nobody can say that Darrell Scott asked me to vote for Donald Trump. There's nobody on the face of the planet Earth that can say that, because I've never said that to anybody.
And even with comments like this,
I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created.
Pastor Scott says
Donald Trump is not arrogant. Donald Trump is actually a humble, down-to-earth guy. He's not misogynistic. He's not a racist. He's not xenophobic.
But Pastor Scott knows Trump isn't perfect. He shared with me that he believes Trump is stumbling in certain areas, and if he could go back and undo some things he did and said, well, Lee, he believes that Mr. Trump would.
So he said he believes Trump has plans to help the people that he serves. Did he say Trump has offered any details about that?
He didn't say he offered any details, but they have talked about certain plans that he will put in place that will help all people, including the African-American community. So he's very strong in his support of Mr. Trump. So.
Well, and a similarity would be they both have a talent for saying things that will get your attention.
And we certainly are watching, aren't we?
Right.
Watching and listening.
Very interesting. Thanks, Anita.